Hey everyone, I'm Caped Hero. Today I want to talk about PAX West 2017 and how amazing it was. What is PAX, you ask? Why, PAX is a gaming convention in almost every sense of the word. They have arcade games, video games, board games, card games, and even VR games. It's a gamer's paradise. They also have panels at PAX ranging from people talking to you about the industry to meet and greets with famous YouTubers. I only went to 2 panels this year, but they were both really good. The first panel I went to was the extra credits panel. It was a Q&A session between them and the fans, and they were asked some pretty good questions. The best part though was the video they showed at the end made by my new favorite extra credits member, Scott. I'll let you see it for yourself, but the ending is amazing. Check out their YouTube channel when you get the chance. They make videos analyzing and explaining different aspects of video games, from creating a good story to what makes good gameplay. If you like analysis into the ins and outs of the video games, then you'll love their channel. The second panel I went to was the video game music trivia panel. The title should tell you the basic gist of the panel, but I'll explain it anyway. The host chooses 3 people from the audience to be contestants, and the players choose a character to represent them. The host chooses a contestant to pick a category, and then they proceed to play music clips in that category. About a 15-second clip of the song is played, and contestants buzz in when they have the answer. If they get it right, they get a point. If no one can guess it, a dancing panda in the audience goes to the audience member who raised their hand the fastest to answer. If they get it right, they get a candy, which is usually nerds. Hashtag nerds for nerds. After 2 categories, whoever has the most points wins, and then gets to play against the celebrity guest. If they beat the guest, they get a prize, which is usually something silly. At the end of the panel, all of the winners have a final round, with the winner getting another prize. The music choices have a lot of range, varying from games like Halo to games like Shantae. The hosts are a lot of fun, and the energy of the crowd is electric. If you go to the next PAX West, please check it out. Out of these 2 panels, I have to say the video game music trivia was my favorite. I don't have anything against the extra credits panel, but they were fighting an uphill battle. I was looking forward to the video game music trivia panel all year, and I've gone to it every time I go to PAX. Now I know you guys didn't come here to hear about some panels, you want to hear about the games. Well, let me tell you, PAX really delivered this year. The game selection was varied and plentiful, with a little something for everyone. I think the grand prize should go to all the indie developers for bringing their A game this year. There are so many great indie games coming out that I can't keep track of them all. With that said, there has to be a few games that stood out more than the rest. So without further ado, I give you my top 3 games of PAX West. Coming in third is a game called 9 Parchments. 9 Parchments is a 4-player co-op game where everyone plays as the wizard from the most recent Gauntlet game. By that I mean, you control like him. You and up to 3 players have to work together and fight hordes of monsters to get the titular 9 Parchments. The game is fun and is a bit difficult. I don't know if you can turn it off or not in the actual game, but in the demo, friendly fire was on. It made it more difficult. Regardless, I'm looking forward to this game coming out on the Switch. The second place entry on this list is kind of cheating, but hear me out. For second place, I chose the City of Final Fantasy NT. Now you might be wondering what I mean when I say it's kind of cheating. Well, it's because this game is already out in Japan, and I played it a lot while I was over there. If you've played the City before, then it's basically a 3-on-3 version of it. For everyone else, the City is the Final Fantasy fighting game. You have 2 kinds of attacks. Bravery attacks build up your bravery gauge, and HP attacks use the bravery that you build up to deal damage to your enemy. The first team to get 3 KOs wins. I was at the Square Enix booth for hours playing this game, and even entered a tournament. We came in second. If second place was cheating, then first place is super cheating, because it's 2 games. Now the 2 games are different, but they have the same basis. In first place is Wargroove and Tiny Metal. Both of these games are spiritual successors to the Advance Wars series, but they both handle it differently. Wargroove is essentially a fantasy version of Advance Wars. Instead of tanks and planes, you get cavaliers and dragons. You still have a CO, but they actually join the fight as your leader unit, and if they die, you lose. They're more powerful than a typical unit though to offset this. While this wasn't in the demo, apparently there's going to be 12 different campaigns for 12 different COs, and the map editor is back. Then you have Tiny Metal, which is a more faithful successor to Advance Wars, using actual soldiers and tanks. The visuals are updated though, using chibi-style 3D models instead of the sprite models from Advance Wars. There are also additional mechanics. For instance, you can surround an enemy unit with your units and have them take aim. Then you can use another unit to initiate a coordinated attack on the surrounded unit to deal additional damage. Unfortunately, or fortunately if you prefer it, it looks like all the maps have Fog of War on. The demos for both of these games are great, and I couldn't decide which one I liked better, so I made them a tie. I still can't wait to play them though. It's been so long since the new Advanced Wars game came out, and while Fire Emblem has people who act like tanks, it doesn't have actual tanks. I have some honorable mentions too, though in no particular order. First honorable mention would be Super Slime Arena. Super Slime Arena is a game where you play as slimes fighting each other. Controls consist of your movement option for your controller and a button for your attack. You get a random slime and you have to use their power to kill your opponents. If you die, you are randomly assigned another slime with a different power. Powers range from dash attack to weaponized rainbows. The last slime standing wins. One thing you might notice is that I said movement option instead of control pad or joystick. That's because when I played the demo for this game, there were a bunch of different controllers that you could use. They range from Xbox controllers to the fishing rod controller from the Sega Bass fishing game on Dreamcast. I don't know if the final game will have that range of controller options, but it was pretty cool. Also, there were like 7 of us playing at the same time with space for more, so expect it to get hectic. The other game I wanted to mention was Aegis Defenders, which is a 2D platformer / tower defense game. In the version they had at PAX, I played as a young woman and her grandfather. The stages I played were split into 2 parts. In the first part, you advance through the stage using materials to create items to help you reach the end, or combating various monsters you encounter. The grandfather uses his materials to make blocks to jump on and turrets, while the woman can create bombs and traps. In the second part of the stage, you have to protect an item from waves of monsters coming to attack it. You must use the materials you have gathered and the materials that spawn between rounds to build your defenses, and use your character weapons to fend off what gets past your defenses. Using the grandfather's hammer allows you to attack yellow monsters for melee damage and repair turrets. The woman uses a gun, which acts like a gun. Duh. It does extra damage to blue monsters, but you can also do a backdash, which cancels out your shooting animation so that you can shoot faster. I found both of these games really interesting, and I can't wait to see what they're like when they're done. So for all the games I was amazed by and excited for, there's one game that I was disappointed by. So Super Meat Boy is coming out with a sequel called Super Meat Boy Forever. When I initially heard about this at a convention, I was really excited. Super Meat Boy was a great game. But when I played the demo, my heart fell. I'll go into more detail about why I didn't like it in a future video, because it would take too long to go over my reasons in this video, but I'll leave you with one phrase: auto run. The exhibit hall also had vendors inside, from Capcom selling Mega Man towels to Behemoth selling Castle Crashers figures. It even had eateries inside, which were all themed after video games. The booths were amazing too, with set pieces like a jungle for Monster Hunter World and a giant dinosaur statue for Ark. There was stuff to do outside of the exhibit hall too. There was an event-long scavenger hunt, a music game where you put cards that have different songs on them on a soundboard to make a mashup, and instant win games. They also had an area with arcade games, a modern and retro console room, a computer gaming room, a handheld gaming area, and various board and card game rooms. There are also board and card game vendors sprinkled around. One I fell victim to was the Square Enix booth selling Final Fantasy TCG decks and boosters. The gameplay is kind of like Magic, but what sold me was that I could play as all my favorite Final Fantasy characters, like Cloud9, Sephiroth, Queen Latifah, Cecil the Turtle, the Edge of Tomorrow, and the Wonder Twins. The gameplay is kind of like Magic, but instead of using land to get mana, you use characters called backups or discard cards for CP. You use CP to summon cards. There are 2 other types of cards other than backups: summons and forwards. Summons are like spell cards or instants, and forwards are your attacking cards. I'll make a video going over how to play in better detail in the future if you're interested. TLDR, this game is my new addiction. I don't like TCGs all that much, but this is Final Fantasy, and I'm all about Final Fantasy. Finally, I would be remiss not to talk about the heart and soul of PAX, or any other convention really. The people. I got to meet, hang out with, and even befriend some really cool people this year, and I think that if it weren't for them, this PAX wouldn't have been nearly as fun. It was also pretty cool seeing some of the great costumes people were coming up with. The amount of time, skill, and dedication it takes to make these costumes is staggering, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't think I have the patience for it. So I just wanted to take this moment to applaud all of the creative and detailed costumes I saw at this PAX. Special shout out to the Andy from Advance Wars I saw. That game is super underrated, and I'm happy that we're getting some spiritual sequels. Okay, I think I've gushed over PAX enough for one video. If you enjoyed my rambling, leave me a like. Subscribe if you want to hear more from me. And if you're lucky enough to go to PAX this year, leave a comment on your favorite part. Until next time, I'm Caped Hero, and this has been
PAX 17! PAX 2017!
PAX 17!
PAX 2017!
PAX 2017!
PAX 2017! Yeah! PAX 2017!
PAX 2017!
PAX 2017! PAX 2017!
good night, everybody.